Yes, you're welcome back. It's still AM 120 and we've been talking about the girl-child education, and we have our second guest in the house. She's a child rights advocate that is talking about Barrister Sandra Ogunmola. You're welcome on the show.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Let's just start off with what your experience has been like, especially as it concerns the challenges that a girl child faces when it comes to getting a good education.
Yes, personally, if you talk about the experience of persons in this side of the country where I come from, in the southwest, you may not really have much experience until you go far to the north. In the southwest, we have parents who are not even educated. Like my mother was not educated. In fact, she didn't have a basic primary education. But I am educated this far. Not because of her strength, but because of the awareness created in the site in the southwest. That had been brought about by the introduction of universal primary education by late Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Even though she herself was not educated, she knew what to do. But that is by the way. If you traverse towards the far north, especially the northeast, northwest, thereabouts, even the north central, you find out the opportunities available to me here are not available to them. So if you juxtapose these societal standings, you find out that when it comes to girl-child education, we are nowhere to be found in Nigeria. In fact, we have the highest rate of infringement on the right to education of the girl child in Nigeria, in the world in Nigeria.
Girl-child education falls under Goal 2 and 3 of the Millennium Development Goal, which is supposed to be achieved by the end of this year, 2015. And by 2016, we have the SDG. Would you say Nigeria has lived up to expectation concerning these Goal 2 and 3?
Nigeria has failed in the sense that in 2014, which is just a year to the deadline of the Millennium Development Goals as propounded by the United Nations. In 2014 June, there was a figure that came out. UNICEF gave a figure. The figure says about 10.5 million Nigerian children of school age are out of school. Now, out of this 10.5 million, 60% are females, and this figure is quite high, the highest in the world. So if you check this figure, against what we are having in society, if you go to like I mentioned, the north, you just discover that it's like the education of a girl child over there is virtually non-existent, and with the incidence of insurgency, in fact, parents now prefer to keep their children inside, especially their girl children inside, so as not to expose her to unnecessary violence.
You know, for you, what would you say are the big issues that we must tackle?
Yes, the issues are enormous. But let's begin with corruption. I am serious. I would have said traditional practices. I would have said a lot of things. But don't let me go there. Because right here in the southwest, we can find out that the traditional practices are giving way. Check out the numbers of privately owned schools, and check out even parents selling in Bere, in OJ Market. You find their children in privately owned schools, paying through their noses to keep them in school. But if we are to talk about it, what is responsible against corruption? Imagine a minister of the federation embezzling much, not just in hundreds of millions of naira, not just in hundreds of billions of naira, but hundreds of billions of dollars, and which is our national money. This money could have been utilized for every money you steal. You keep a child out of school. For every money you steal, you kill a child in the hospital. For every money you steal, you make somebody die due to potholes on the road. These are the issues, the big issues. So unless and until we tackle corruption, everything comes down back to corruption. Everything comes down back to corruption. That is it. Like I was telling somebody, like I said, the role, the traditional role for the Ministry of Women Affairs. If truly there's a Ministry for Women Affairs, And I think the traditional role for that ministry should have been to take them young, to fight for their cause, as in to ensure their cause is protected when they are young. Because if you are to take care of women, if you are to see to the welfare of women, check it out. Women don't just exist in a vacuum. They start from our childhood. So if this ministry is to see to the welfare of women, why neglecting the girl child? Why not seeing to the welfare of the girl child? So a number of things. We can say illiteracy is involved as one of the factors. Yes, illiteracy is one of the factors, but it is not limited to illiteracy. Because if my mother, who was not educated, sent me to school, I see no reason why other mothers would not want to follow suit. Somebody was talking about parents providing adequate means of shelter, food, shelter, and raiment. I was just thinking about it. There's no social justice for the parents himself. He doesn't get the social justice. The father, the mother, they don't get the social justice themselves. They want to work. The man is able-bodied. He wants to work. He's unable to get a job. And when he gets, he's grossly underpaid. Yet he must leave. These are the issues. These are the real issues. So the girl child thing cannot. There's real social justice regarding the girl child or child education, because when you check about our laws, you find out the laws are not child specific.
Oh, well, we have the Child Rights Act also.
Does it really address the issue of girl child? Have you checked it? No, the Child Rights Act is there, yes. But is there any specific provision there that addresses the right of the girl child to education? So our laws are not child specific. Okay, let's even talk about, let's assume there's a legislation now that talks about the education of the girl child. Where does that legislation take its roots from? From section 18 of the Constitution? What does that one say? That one says education will be made as there's free primary education. Free primary education will be made to be, and education will be made to be free up to university level as soon as practicable. That is it. So where is the justice? Where does if you make a law, for instance, you sponsor a bill and this bill says true, where does it take its roots from? Because the Constitution is the ground norm. And any law that is inconsistent with the Constitution, it shall be null and void to the extent of its inconsistency. So where is the enabling provision in the Constitution that gives you a right to make the right to the education of the girl child a fundamental right? Because before it can be fundamental, it has to be entrenched in our laws. So everything is wrong ab initio. I mean, from the start. My Yoruba people say, "Oni amokun eru ewo, oni okele nwo ni ewo sale." That's the truth. Everything has to start from the base. The Constitution is the ground norm. The Constitution is not child specific. The only thing it says about the child is section 42, subsection 1 and 2. That is, it talks about discrimination as to the race, color, group. But that is not just it. Section 42(2) talks about the fact that no child shall be discriminated upon based on the circumstances of his or her birth. That is to say, what we have interpreted that to be, basically, it's a broad application, but in the law courts, the real application that we have put that is that whether your mother is married to your father or not, you have the right as a child. So that is just what we have so far in society.
Okay, you've spoken so much about corruption, and that is from the basis. But I asked the first guest now that let's just look at the fact that you said we should not so much dwell on cultural tradition.
Because they are fading away.
Yes, they are fading away. But let's talk about the psyche of the girl child, of a woman. Okay. You know, as I painted before now, we have a mentality that, oh, now she's the helpmate, she's supposed to be the second to the man. And if we are blaming everything on corruption, on government policies, what exactly does the society, the role of the society in all this?
Thank you very much. In the first place, is the role of all. So when we say government, we are not limiting it to the government. Well, what I just did then was to talk about the aspect that is fundamental to it. Now, when we talk about the girl child herself, the girl child herself was brought up to see herself as inferior to the male. Like I was brought up to know that I have seven bones in my ribs and he has 9. Yes, that's what we were taught to do. And I was brought up to even leave whatever my elder brother drags with me for him. That is a man, leave it to him. I could remember at the point in time I was in a boarding school, I was bought a towel. A beautiful towel because I have beautiful flowery things, and my elder brother said he would take it. And before I knew what was happening, he took it, and my mother said, "She put one in the phone." These are the things, these are the issues. Now the self-esteem of the female, of the girl child herself is affected. What am I talking about? She sees herself as only having to survive if the society permits it. She sees herself as getting the things that she gets by privilege. Yes, that was how I saw myself when I was growing up. I only got things that were permitted. And I didn't even know I had the right. Can you imagine that? The only time I knew I had the right was when my father was present. Whenever he was present in the house, I would know, yes, in this house, I have the right today. Because he let me know that you have a right. But all other things worked against me. But I give glory to God. But what am I talking about? The society in itself. Parents have responsibilities. But this responsibility is not just limited to. It's not just limited to ensuring you put your child in school. I think it's also about talking to your child and raising her ego.
Self-esteem.
Raising her self-esteem. Let her see herself as human first, and as a person who can survive out of the odds. That is just.
Okay, you know, there's this popular saying that educate a woman or a girl child, and you
educate the world.
Educate the world. Doesn't mean that if we have had more educated girls or women, the nation Nigeria would have been more developed.
Yes, I believe so. I believe so. We can go on and on to talk about that. We can talk about educated women who have contributed immensely to the society. But that is not to stop there. Check it out. When a child is educated, education is not limited to what obtains in the classrooms. It's not limited to, how will I put it now? It's not limited to the white man's books.
Western education.
Exactly. Education can also be in terms of morals, in terms of other things, not just morals. Sex education. In fact, let's check how the quality of children a girl child will bring out from herself if she's better educated as to her right to say no to sex, if she's well educated as to her right to shout down on a man trying to take advantage of her, her right to report such a man without being discriminated upon, without being being cheated out. Well, let's talk about the quality of children such a woman, a child, will produce at attainment of adulthood if she had not contacted sexually transmitted infection before age 20. You see, everything comes out of the society. The health of the society is affected. Like I was saying, the health of the society is affected already. Check how the quality of a child she will produce if she was not exposed to premature sex. Now, if she was not given out in marriage before age 14, if she was not given out marriage before age 16 or age 18, if she could say, this is my home man, this is the man, I like this man, I don't like this one, I cannot follow this, I will follow this, okay, I will agree to marry this. If she cannot make those choices, now imagine a woman, a child in marriage, an unhappy child in marriage. What kind of child comes out of such woman?
You know, I hear you analyze this, and it's easy to pontificate and look at these issues, but the big question would be, when we have issues such as, for instance, child marriage, which is entrenched in cultural and societal beliefs, how do we begin to tackle these issues such that we do not have a situation where we destroy what the very fabric of what makes us African, and still at the same time, protect the interests of our children.
Thank you very much. I was waiting for that question. I was actually waiting for that question. Honestly, there is. I had thought it over and again and again and again. Now, what could be done? I think the girl child center, a girl child center, needs to be instituted in every state of the federation. A girl child. I am serious. And girl children. Education will go out, sensitization, information, awareness will go out to all the schools, all markets, everywhere that you can find girl children. Tell them of their rights. Tell them they can visit so and so place in case their rights are threatened. Not just right to education. In case a man is trying to take advantage of you, you can visit that place, report, and you'll be listened to. Let it be that the government will listen and be responsive to the cause of the girl child.
If, for instance, we have a situation where our legal system becomes vibrant enough to tackle the situations that you have put forward right now, we have a situation where the Child's Right Act, is domesticated in all the states of the federation, and we begin to see things change. Would that be necessary? Don't you see a situation where what we have on ground today is sufficient to tackle the problems?
It's not sufficient to tackle the problem. I see a situation where if those things become, for instance, if the Child Right Act becomes domesticated and Section 18 of the Constitution that talks about as soon as practicable, free education as soon as practicable, becomes modified, that is amended to the status of a right in Chapter 4 of the Constitution, I see a changed world. Yes, because it will mean that even if the child cannot by him or by herself, let's talk about the girl child now. If the child by herself cannot approach the court to seek a right, somebody, a next friend, in law we call something next friend, the child's next friend can institute that action, because it becomes a human right, fundamental right thing. You can now sue on behalf of that child to demand that the society takes care of that child. What do you think happens in the West when parents who do not take good care of their children when the law gets the children out of those women? What do you think happens? You don't think something is wrong? You don't think they are passing a message? The society over there in the West, UK, US, and all those Western universities and Western societies believe that these children belong to this society. They are not yours. You are just a keeper. Because this society must survive on the fact that children will continue to be. If children are not well taken care of, society will collapse. The machinery of society will get to an extent to break down. What is good in a workforce that comprises only aged people?
So you have suggested having girl child center in
all the states of the federation.
But you highlighted corruption. Won't this be a money-making channel for some people again?
Well, let's hope this anti-corruption crusade goes on and gets sustained, and let's hope it is sincere, because there's an anti-corruption crusade going on right now. Let's hope it is sincere. But we cannot really protect the right of the girl child if there is no institutionalized establishment for such purposes. We can't get there. 10.5 million, of which 60% are girls, is quite a high figure. No society can survive on that. That is to say, we have more than 6 million girls roaming about. That's quite a high figure. No society survives on that. Nigerian case is hard.
What will be your last take on this? We have to wrap it up.
Yes, I'll implore the government at all levels, the state governments of the 36 states of the federation, including the Federal Capital Territory, the federal government, to see to it that there is an institutionalized establishment. You may not name it a girl child center, but let there be an institutionalized institutionalize establishments on the right of the girl child. Let the girl child feel the impact of the government, and let all this 36 State Ministry of Women Affairs take up the responsibility of seeing to the right of the girl child. That is the reason. That is one of the reasons, one of the primary reasons for its establishment.
Thank you so much, Barrister Sandra Ogunmola. She's a child rights advocate. Thank you so much for talking to us this morning on AM 120. Just hold on a few seconds. We'll take a break on AM 120. We'll still have someone else to talk to.